Well, folks, it looks like we got some more AMD Threadripper news in the works. That came out just around there 2 ago. And I know this is only for a niche amount of people, but the amount of numbers I'm seeing in this article is ridiculous. Let's get into this. Hi everyone, it's a lot tech back again, some more tech news. Hope you had a blast on your 4th of July. You know, AMD in general and Threadripper, their Threadripper lineup is something very niche, and people that really have the big bank stuff can afford them, especially people buy them mainly for their data centers and servers and server farms and stuff, because they need that horsepower to push out all these 3D models, AI models, stuff like that. But I thought the numbers I saw in this article on videocars.net was pretty crazy. Now, this particular model is a Zen 5 based Threadripper. It's called the 9980X, and it's the predecessor or the last gen, which was 7990WX, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, that was based on Zen 4 architecture. Now, back then, that was already a ridiculous CPU on the turbo lineup. I wasn't even a pro lineup. It was just a regular 7998 or 7990WX. And that alone, when they did some benchmarks on CPU PassMark for multi-threading, that was scored a whopping 136K. So just over 136,000 multi-threaded performance, and it was over like 4,100 or around 4,098, 4,095. So call it 4,100 single threaded. So that's still pretty insane, especially for a Threadripper. And we thought that that was peak of Threadripper, but it wasn't. Here comes the 9980X based on a Zen 5 architecture. And this, according to the article, they did a multi-threaded score on over like 1,000 CPUs, like in the server front or high-end CPUs that people use for servers. And they compare against other AMD stuff, like previous AMD stuff, as well as Intel on some other, high-end server CPUs. And out of the 1,000 and change CPUs they tested, the 9980X, by the way, is a 64-core Threadripper. So it's not even a top-of-the-line 96-core that AMD has right now in their big old data center farms. So it's 64 cores. So roughly 32 cores less than a top-of-the-line AMD Threadripper, even on the Pro front. So for the fact that the numbers I saw in this article are ridiculous. So remember just a while ago, I just said that the 7998WX scored like a whopping 136,000. Well, get this, the predecessor has up to 10% higher performance, and it scored a whopping 146,000 points on the CPU PassMark multi-threaded score. That's right, you heard me correctly, 146,000. If you want to round off to another 200 points, call it 147,000 points multi-threaded score. And that's not only the big kicker. So that not only that blow the previous generation out of the water by like literally 10,000, 11,000 points roughly, it also produced a way higher single-threaded performance. So before I said the 7998WX or 7990WX scored a whopping 4,095, so 4,100. This one, for the 9980X, not even a WS, not even a Pro lineup, the new one as a Zen 5, scored 4,580 something on single-threaded score. So call it 4,600 points. So that's almost a 500-point jump from the last generation that was based on Zen 4 for the single-threaded, and over 10,000 points higher on multi-threaded. And it also got the title, because of this score, as the fastest CPU ever tested to date on the CPU PassMark multi-threaded score. This is out of 1,000 CPUs, over 1,000 plus CPUs people tested, and this 64 core whooped all the others. I'm sure to compare it to the 96 core as well. So this is crazy. Well, at least last gen 96 core. So I can't remember what the exact number is, but it's the top of the line Zen 4 one that came out a couple years ago on the Pro lineup. It was a 96 core. So this even beat something that from last gen that's 32 cores more than it itself. So I know Threadripper is not a big thing as far as like us regular folk, but for people out there that have businesses and know people that have need data centers and need that horsepower, this is probably going to be really good news. I'm not sure if they're fully released yet, the 9000 series of the Threadripper, but I think they're either coming out later this year or beginning of next year. But they're going to be based on Zen 5. And so far, from the things that have been coming out of the woodwork, rumors and tech specs wise, and including this article, has been seeing very, very promising results on all kind of tests that these CPUs get run through before they hit the shelves. So let me just say these numbers here because I don't think I understand how crazy this is. 147,000 multi-threaded score and almost 4,600 single-threaded score. For Threadripper, this is ridiculous. And this particular one boosts to 5.4, and the base is 3.2, so it boosts pretty high. So it boosts a little bit higher than last gen. Last gen boosts like 5.1, but still, everything for this new one checks the boxes. And for people that need a heavy worker for horsepower for their CPUs at the data center, this is definitely going to be something interesting to you. They have no numbers yet as far as pricing, but if it takes typical Threadripper pricing, it takes a lot of money for one single Threadripper chip. And the motherboards is the expense. But I just thought I would share this ridiculous news with you guys because I thought the numbers were bonkers. And I'm just happy to see how far Threadripper has come and how AMD keeps pushing the limit as far as what any of their CPUs or any platforms can do. Until then, this is your boy Locktech signing out.